In this video I'm going to show you how to create a dish-shaped part from a surface using a swept surface and then converting that to a solid. So to start with, we'll go to a new scene, and what I'm going to do is just drag a cylinder into the scene. I'm going to adjust its using the size box handles. I'm going to change its diameter, so let's make that 250. So that's our diameter. And I'm just going to move this up. I don't really need the part to be that special. Don't need to worry about the depth. Now if you actually select the part and clicking it twice on that surface and then a third time, you'll actually see that that surface turns green. If you press the right mouse button now, you can go to create in the drop down, and I'm going to select let's do that again. Right mouse click, go to create, and I'm going to extract a 3D curve, and you can see that it's a curve in a sort of amber colour around that top edge. And what I'm going to do now is just pick this part, right mouse click, and I'm going to suppress it, so we're just left with the actual defining curve for that part. Now what I need to do now in actual fact is go to sketch, 2D shape. I'll pick the shape, and there's an option there, normal to curve at point. So I'll select that, and if you actually sort of hover over that curve, you'll actually see that there's a small point there as well. So I'm going to actually click that curve, and I'm going to select that point there in terms of where the actual sketch is going to be placed on the curve. Select the green tick to finish that, and we can now actually create our profile for the swept feature. So I'm going to go to polyline, and I'm going to pick a point there, and I'm just going to actually put this in here like so, and maybe we'll put one up here like so. Let's put it there. Okay, finish that. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in here and I'm actually going to put a fillet in here. So we just select fillet and just drag that where we want. You can, if you wish, in actual fact, put the actual figure in there that you want that to be. So I could say I want that to be 20 and just hit return. So we've actually now got our shape. So we can say finish that sketch. So now if we go to our part, we can see that we've got our guide curve here, and we've got our profile defining that sort of curved shape on that dish. So now if I go to surface, I'll go to feature, and what we'll do, we'll go to sweep. Select the sweep option, and I'm going to create a new part, and I'll select the section, which is that one there. And in actual fact, if you look down here, there's an option there, generate surface. So I need to click that one, generate surface. And what I'll do, I'll actually clear the path there, and I'll actually select this curve as the path. And you'll see that it actually previews that path around that circle. Select the green tick, and effectively we've now got our profile here. Also, this has obviously got a solid base to it. So what I'll do, I'll go back to the surface tools. And in here you've got an option called patch surface. So if you select that option there, simply the curves here, just select that curve there, which is the actual the inner sort of diameter of that shape, and just select the green tick, and you'll see now that we've actually got that complete. And if you look in the browser, you've got two sets of surfaces there. What I can do now, if I wish, is actually boolean those two together. We don't want two sort of surfaces, we want a single part. So if I go to feature, and if I select boolean, I can now select the two elements, which is that one there and the one in the center, and you'll see that it's populated the parts bodies box here. So the parts for union is part 2 and 3, and just select the green tick, and effectively what we now have is we should have a solid there, or sorry, that's a boolean of that surface. So what I'm going to do now in actual fact is going to solidify this. So to do that, we go to our feature, and we select thicken, select the thicken option here, and we can drag a window across the whole part like so, and you'll see that it previews which way the thickness is going. I can, if I want, change that to downwards if I wish. And now if I just select OK, it will actually thicken that part as so. And if you look in here, you can actually see that we've actually got the part thickened. It's a boundary representation, and that is a complete part. If you want to actually define this a bit, make the surfaces a bit smoother, if you actually select the actual part with the left mouse button, do a right mouse click and go to part properties. In here you've got one called rendering, and you can actually slide this bar along to actually improve the surface smoothness as it appears in the scene. So if I do that and say apply and OK, that will look more circular. It won't be so faceted. So you've got that tool in there as well. You can also now, if you wish, maybe add some fillets to this solid part. So what I'll do, I'll go to feature, I'll go to blend edges, and maybe I'll make those, let's make that say 6 in there, and I'll select that inner face there, and I'll come over the other side and I'll pick that face there. And just so we've got those two edges there that are going to be 6mm radius, just hit the green tick to say OK, and that effectively is that's our dish. That's how easy that is. What we can do now, maybe we want to put this circular array of holes on this surface here. So we'll go over to our shapes catalogue and we'll take the hollow cylinder and I'll just drop that into the centre like so. And you can obviously adjust the actual diameter of that as well, so maybe I'll make that 20. So OK. Just check that's changed to 20. Let's do that again. There we are. Now what you can do, you can also, within IronCAD, you can actually pick a shape that's actually deposited on that face. And if you actually just pick it on the anchor point, which is identified in yellow now, and just simply drag it, you can actually drag it up the surface. You'll see that moving. So I could position that wherever I want on this surface. So if I put that in there, for instance, you can use a triball to obviously position it in a more sort of accurate sense, but just to show you that you can actually do this sort of thing with it as well. And now if you look on here, we've actually got that hole in there, and I can actually adjust that so that it's going right the way through by dragging the just dragging the handles like so. Now you'll see that in actual fact under here we can still see the surface. So it's not gone, it doesn't look as if it's gone right the way through, but the way to get rid of that is to go to the surface in the browser, do a right mouse click and go suppress. And now that's going right the way through the solid object, like so. Now maybe we want to put an array of these holes around this face. So the way to do that, using the triball, we actually pick the hole feature. We press F10 to bring up the triball. And what I do now is press the space bar to detach the triball from that hole feature. And I'm going to pick the inner axis here of the triball at the top. So it's that one up there. Do a right mouse click and say perpendicular to a face, and I'll pick the face at the bottom of this part. Now if I press the space bar, what I'll do, I'll actually move this to the centre. So if we actually hover over the centre point of the triball and say move that say to a centre point, and we just move it to the centre point of one of those circles, and press the space bar again, and this is now attached. So that whole feature there is attached to the triball. And if I pick the actual top axis here with the left mouse button, you'll see that it's gone green. So that is the axis going down through the part. And if I actually hover inside the circle of the triball, I can actually drag that, holding the right mouse button down, simply drag it in that inner circle, and say let's create a radial pattern there, and I'll say I want 12 of those, and I want that to be 360 degrees, divide by 12, and just say OK. And so we've actually now got that array on the disc like so. So that's pretty much it. I can simply, maybe if I want to put a hole in here, I can just drag a hollow cylinder to here, and I can actually put that wherever I want in here. So maybe if I say I want that to be 210, like so, and now that's our finished part. And if you don't want to see the actual curvature here, you can actually go over to the actual part in question there in the browser, do a right mouse click and go suppress. So we've actually taken that out. And just to finish this, IronCAD's got a lot of catalogues built into it, and one of those is materials. You've got metals and so on and so forth here. So if you want, you can actually just pick up on one of these actual finishes and simply drag it onto the part, and you'll see that it's actually it's applied that finish to the part. So you can just pick any one of these and just drag it on the part. And so there we are, that's our part. So that's how easy it is to actually create a solid using the surface tools. Hope that's been of some help, and happy IronCAD using.